Hello and welcome to our Future Flash Thursday. We are so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. Hope you got on Facebook okay. And if you didn't, hopefully you're watching this later and you'll be able to get some helpful information. My name is Melissa and I'm the admissions counselor for Kent State Trumbull, and we are super excited today to give you some great information about how our placement assessments and new student registration and everything is being handled with the COVID changes. So I hope you brought your questions today. If you have those, you can go ahead and start putting those in the comments. We'll be watching that throughout this streaming, and we'll try to answer your questions as best as we can. Also, if you would like to just let us know that you're here, the only way we can see if you're here is if you like the video or if you post some sort of a comment. So if you just want to say hi, that would be great too. We would love to interact with you as much as possible. We have some of our advisors on, as well as our director and assistant director. So we're going to start out with a special welcome from our Director of Enrollment Management and Student Services, Dr. James Ritter.
Thank you and welcome. Welcome to Kent State Trumbull. We have a saying where we say that Kent State Trumbull has all the benefits of a large university in a small campus environment. And that's really not just a saying, it's reality. We're very much like a small private college, but yet part of one of the largest university systems in the United States. And yet we have the tuition of less than a state university. Our tuition is about $6,500 a year, which is the lowest university tuition around. So when we say we have all the benefits of a large university in a small campus environment, it is really more than just a saying. I worked at the campus from 91 until 2000, then I left and went to work at one of those big, large universities. And I came back in 2010 for one reason. I just think we do it right. We really help students graduate. I always say, if you want to graduate from Kent State Trumbull, you will graduate. There's just so many resources for you. And with that, I'll throw it back to Melissa.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ritter. Always great to hear from the director perspective. I'm thinking most of our viewers today are admitted students or students very close to being admitted. Perhaps some of you have already met with your advisor to schedule classes. If so, congratulations. We're going to be talking about that whole process today. So whether you've been through it yet or you haven't, go ahead and put those questions in the comments. We'll be watching for those. And now I'm going to start introducing our panelists. We have Allison Hoskinson. She's our Assistant Director of Enrollment Management and Student Services. Allison, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. Thanks, Melissa. As Melissa said, I'm Allison Hoskinson, and I'm an Assistant Director in Advising. And I've been with Kent State Trumbull for 17 years. I have a daughter in elementary school, so we've been doing the school at home thing like many of you have been doing, I'm sure. And I'm just enjoying being able to connect with people remotely through avenues like this.
Thank you, Allison. Next, we're going to introduce Chris Cooney. She is one of our academic advisors. Chris, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure, thanks, Melissa. As Melissa said, my name is Chris Cooney. I'd like to welcome you all here today too. We're so glad you could join us today. Hopefully you'll get lots of good information. I have worked for Kent Trumbull for almost 20 years and been an advisor for a good amount of that. And before that, I was a student here and also a student employee here. And I just thought it was so great when I took classes that I just never left. So that's the kind of experience we're hoping for all of you today too, and throughout your college career. I'm coming to you today from my sewing room, one of the few rooms we did not renovate during our COVID reno, as we're now calling it. We started a renovation in our house in January. It's just finishing up now. We didn't realize we were going to both work from home, my husband and I, while that was happening, but here we are. Glad to have you today.
Thank you so much, Chris. And just to add in a little bit about myself too, I was also a student for 4 years at Kent State Trumbull and a student employee, and I liked it so much I never left. So you may notice a little bit of a trend. Next, we're going to introduce Kelsey Popio. She is another one of our awesome academic advisors. Kelsey, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Melissa. As Melissa mentioned, my name's Kelsey Popio. I'm one of the academic advisors at Kent Trumbull. I've been at the Trumbull campus for about 2 years, and recently I completed my yoga teacher training. So now I am a certified yoga instructor and have been using those practices to meditate and to stay calm during all of this and having an at-home practice. So enjoying speaking with everyone today.
Thank you, Kelsey. We're going to get started with our questions. I'm getting on Facebook to see if there's any questions so far. But first, there's a question that I know many people have asked me over the past few weeks, and I'm going to direct this to Allison. When is all of this process of new student registration supposed to happen for summer and fall alike?
Well, it is actually happening right now. We have started to register new students for both summer and fall. So when you receive your acceptance letter, for those of you who have received your letters, it'll tell you how to call our office to get on the placement list to start the process. So we've been working, you'll hear our process. We've been working on a virtual process for you. So once you call and get on the placement list, an advisor will call you back to schedule your registration appointment called DKSTAR, which we will talk more about.
Allison, if anyone has any other questions about that, feel free to put that in the comments. If you're not seeing the comment feature, try clicking on the video again. It might come up a different way and you'll be able to add comments. All right, our next question is for Kelsey. There have been many questions to me personally, and I think to many others, about how the placement assessments are working this year. Can you explain a little bit about how we used to do placement assessments and how it's working this year?
Of course. So we used to do placement assessments in person for reading and writing if a student required them. Everything has switched over to a virtual format. So all Kent Trumbull students are required to do the ALEX math placement assessment. You received that information with your acceptance letters, so you can just follow the directions about how to do that in your Flashline account. And of course, give us a call if you have any questions about it. We are using high school GPA and ACT scores to place students for reading and writing. So an advisor will be in touch with you about that when they call you to schedule your orientation session. So the only placement assessment that you need to worry about actively doing right now is your math placement, which is through your Flashline account. Directions were included with your acceptance letter.
Thank you, Kelsey. Now, another question, perhaps you've heard the acronym DKSTAR. Maybe you know what it means, maybe you don't. I'm going to ask Chris to explain this process and what is DKSTAR.
So DKSTAR stands for Destination Kent State Trumbull Advising and Registration. And that is basically our orientation program. We are holding this event as a one-on-one event with each student as a Microsoft Teams meeting. And as we call you and set this up, we'll also email a link for you to get into that meeting. Before and during this meeting, we're going to be sending you everything you need to know as a new student here before you start. And during the meeting, we'll actually be going through your program requirements. If you had transfer credits, we'll go through those. We'll be going through what we call a roadmap, which gives all the information about the degree that you've chosen, your major, and as well as a step-by-step, semester-by-semester breakdown of your classes. And then we will also schedule classes with you during this DKSTAR session.
All right, thank you very much, Chris. Thank you all. I'm going to go through a couple more frequently asked questions, but please, if you just joined us, I'm inviting everybody to put in some questions in the comments so that we can help you through this process. Our new student registration process and placement assessments are completely online now. So if you are having questions or any uncertainty, we're here today to help you with that. So we're glad you joined us. Feel free to give the video a thumbs up so we can see you're here, and please put your questions in the comments. So another question we're going to ask is it possible to register for classes on my own? And I'm going to direct this to you, Chris. Can a student register for their own classes?
Really, you shouldn't. No, please don't do that because we want to help you. So it's really important that you get all the information about your major and your placements and all that kind of thing. The placements can affect what courses you will be taking. So there may be even things, if you think you know what you need, you won't know that for sure until we go through the placement assessment scores and see if you found that you've placed into any foundation courses. We would add those to your roadmap. So We want to make sure that you have all the information that you need so that you're starting out well and you're taking the right classes. So we want to help you with that scheduling process. And quite frankly, we require that all students meet with an academic advisor every semester for that very reason, to make sure that we're staying on track and to help you with any issues or problems you might be having as well.
Thank you, Chris. And our academic advisors are so happy to help. That's their specialty, is to help you through that college experience. So take advantage of that. We also have a question about, what if you wanted to change your campus? So Allison, let's say a student applied for the Trumbull campus and then they decide, oh, I didn't know there was a Salem campus. I live in Salem. What should they do from here on out if they've been accepted at our campus? What do they do to change that?
We are one university, so you don't need to apply again. We can just change your application campus. So you can either call the admissions office at the campus you started at or the campus you would like to go to, and we will switch your application to the campus you would like to go to. It's a pretty simple process, but you do not need to apply again. It's all one application.
Thank you for explaining that. Similar question, if somebody had chosen, let's say they chose business for their major, they wanted to do business management, and then they find out that we have a criminology and justice studies program. What should they do from there? Let's see, who wants to answer this? Chris, would you like to answer that question for us?
I would be glad to. So if we have not scheduled classes with you yet, we can actually change that major before that happens. So when your advisor calls you to schedule the DKSTAR orientation appointment, that's one of the questions they will ask you. When you applied to the university, you put in a major, but sometimes people change their minds, and we realize that. So one of the questions we're going to ask when we schedule your appointment is, do you still want that major, or would you like something else? And if you tell us something else, then we'll have the admissions processors change that over before we schedule classes. Now, if you change your mind after the classes are scheduled, we'll have you just come back once classes start, and then there's a process that we can go through with you, walk you through that process to change your major. People change their majors a lot, so it's always something that can be changed. I don't want you to worry about that.
Thank you so much, Chris. We had a question come in. Please keep those questions coming. This is all about you, so we want to answer whatever questions you have. The question was, will we be posting this to YouTube? I think that is possible. I think we will work on making that happen. If it doesn't work, you can always come back to Facebook and watch this later. It's going to be forever available on our Facebook page, but we'll work on putting it on YouTube too for you. Kelsey, I have a question for you about our placement assessment process. You mentioned the ACT or SAT scores. What should I do if I applied but didn't take the ACT or SAT? What happens then?
Well, that's okay. At Kent Trumbull, we are open enrollment, so we do not require an ACT or an SAT score for admission. But since things are a little bit different right now, we are utilizing those scores to help with placement assessment. But once again, it's okay if you don't have a score. We'll just use your high school GPA to place you for your reading and writing classes, and then you'll take your ALEKS math placement for your math placement.
Wonderful. And can you just real slowly explain ALEKS? And what is that, ALEX, or what is that?
Yes, of course. So ALEKS is spelled ALEKS. It is an online test that you take that will assess your ability in math and then place you into the appropriate level math class. And then you meet with an advisor and we go over those results with you and decide what math class that you need for your specific major, because every major requires a different level of math. So we want to make sure that you're setting up a good foundation. The ALEKS math placement helps place you into the appropriate level and meets you where you're at so that you can be successful as you continue on with your major.
Perfect. That helps a lot. Thank you, Kelsey. We had a question come in from David, and Allison, this is for you. I just started out. Do I call in first and set up DKSTAR? So I'm really glad that you asked this question, David, because I know everybody didn't get right in the beginning. So if there's something you think you missed or something that maybe we covered, but it wasn't clear enough for you, please put that in the comments. We're here to make sure everything is crystal clear. So Allison, can you just briefly summarize again what they're supposed to do from this point to get on the DKSTAR?
Yes. So the first step is for you to receive your acceptance letter. And once you get that in the mail, it means that everything is all set for you to start the process. It'll have your Kent State user ID to log into the system, and it'll tell you all the steps you need to do. The first step it'll tell you, one of the first steps, is to call our office and get on the list for the placement assessment. So that's kind of our trigger to know that we need to start the process. You're ready to go. So you'll call our office, the 675-8860 number, and just let us know you want to get on the list for placement. We'll get you on the list. An advisor will then call you back in usually a day or two at this point, and let you know, okay, your next steps. We'll ask you some questions and we'll talk to you about any placement assessment as far as the Alex math or anything that you still need to do. And then we will walk you through that process and schedule that DKSTAR, which is your registration. So your very first step as far as starting the process with us is just to call and get on that placement list, and then we'll take you through each of those steps. And anytime you have any questions, you can always call us and we'll tell you what we need you to do if you're not sure.
Perfect. Thank you, Allison. Another question, I'm going to address this to Chris. If a student is concerned about how they're going to do that virtual advising appointment, do they need to have an app on their phone? Do they need to have some special software? How does that work with the virtual advising?
Okay, that's a great question. So thanks for asking that. You do not need to download an app. So that's the good news. We're going to send you a link to log into the Microsoft Teams meeting, but you don't need to choose the app to do that. You can choose the internet connection instead. We'll actually send you that email as a link, but also we're going to send another email that actually explains that as well, that tells you to just choose the internet option. So you don't need to download any apps to do that.
Thank you, Chris. This whole technology thing is so fun, isn't it? We're all learning so many great things. So if you do have questions, we're happy to help. I am loving seeing the comments come in. Thank you all for those of you who are interacting. If you just joined us, we're glad you're here. We're talking about new student registration, placement assessment, and this is basically a question and answer session to help you have clarity on the whole process. So if you've been admitted for summer or admitted for fall, or you're just wondering what this is all about, post some questions in the comments and we'll answer those for you. A question that I had today, Kelsey, was what are we doing with student ID cards? So that's on the checklist when you get your new student packet, but how is that happening virtually?
Yeah, so we're not issuing any ID cards currently. When we return to campus, when operations return to normal, you will receive an email to your Kent State email to let you know that it's time to come get your ID card, and it will provide you with the directions to do so. So really, the most important thing about this is please check your kent.edu email. This is where you're going to get any important information that you need to know is to that kent.edu email, not your personal email, not your high school email, kent.edu. Keep checking that and you'll know everything that you need to know moving forward.
Thank you, Kelsey. So I saw we had a financial aid question come through. What is the best thing to do when we have a financial aid question? Allison, can you help us with that?
Yes, I'm not a financial aid advisor, so I don't give financial aid advice, but we do have some wonderful financial aid advisors and people that can answer those questions. A lot of your questions might be answered by checking your financial aid information through Flashline. So that's your student portal, Flashline. So go on there, look that up. There's a lot of financial aid information specific to you on there. If you can't get your answer there, you can always call that 675-8860 number or email Trumbull Financial Aid. So their email, and hopefully we can type that in the comments, is trumbulfinaid@kent.edu, which is TRUMBULLFINAID@kent.edu. and our financial aid advisors will help you out. I know everyone's situation is so different with financial aid, so they can look up your specific information and answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Allison. Dr. Ritter, the next question I have is for you. If anyone is accepted for summer or thinking of taking summer classes, are those going to be online or on campus? And is it too late to apply for summer?
Great question after I unmute my button. No, it is not too late. There really is not a deadline for admission to summer because we have so many different summer terms, summer 1, summer 2, summer 3, intersession. The reason I say it's a great question is because as of right now, we are remote. They have not made a decision on summer 3, which starts around the middle of July, as to whether that's going to be remote or if that's going to be face-to-face. So as of right now, we are remote. That may stay that way through the rest of the summer, or it may open up and we may not be remote in summer 3, but there is no application deadline, obviously, until summer 3 starts, and that's the last term, and so it's too late after that. But anytime before the middle of July, you can apply. Obviously, I would suggest applying as soon as possible.
Thank you. And while we're talking about campus versus online, can you tell us anything about fall? A lot of students are wondering, are we going to be on campus this fall?
Yeah, so summer 3 hasn't been decided yet, so obviously they haven't decided fall yet either. And so we will have a semester. It may be face-to-face, it may be remote. We just don't know at this point. As you know, things are changing daily. You just watch any day on the news, you know things are changing daily. So for both good and bad. So we're just going to take a wait and see approach. But the good news is summer 3 hasn't even been decided to be remote yet. So they're still trying to decide that.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ritter. So yes, keep reading your emails, check in with us with any questions anytime. Kelsey, I have a question about the placement assessment. So maybe a student was admitted before COVID took place and they were told they needed to do a reading assessment, a writing assessment, a math assessment. If that's still on their mind, what would you have to say to them?
So you will no longer need to take those assessments, even if you were admitted or even scheduled to come in for placement assessment before all of this happened. So we will now just be using your high school GPA and ACT, SAT scores, if you have them, to place you for reading and writing. Now, let's say you aren't happy with the level that you placed into when you meet with your advisor. That is okay. Reassessments are available. So if you feel like what you placed into does not match your skill level, you can have a discussion about that with your advisor and take reassessments to see if you place into a higher level.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And now I have a quick question for you viewers. A couple people had reached out to me and said they had trouble getting on Facebook. So if you wouldn't mind posting in the comments, if you had any issues getting on Facebook, can you explain to us how you troubleshooted to get around that? We would love to hear, and then that can help our other students that have tried to get onto these events. Thank you so much. We also have a question about what if I want to change my major after I go through the DKSTAR scheduling process with my advisor? Chris, can you please answer this for us?
Absolutely, I'd be glad to. So once you're scheduled for the semester, there is a lag between changing your major until the classes actually begin. So once the classes actually begin, we'd be able to change your major with you. So all you need to do is wait till the classes begin, make an appointment with an academic advisor, and we'll walk you through that process to change the major over.
Thank you so much. All right, so Allison, we touched on this a little bit, but would you mind covering again? Let's say a student has been admitted and they're wondering, what do I do next? And why haven't I heard anything? I've been checking my emails. What's going on?
Sure. So once you're admitted, you will get a packet in the mail with the next steps that you need to do. It will tell you a little bit about that Alex math placement, and it will tell you to call our office to get on the list for the placement assessment. So if you haven't done yet, That's your first step. If you have called to get on the placement list, you should have heard back from an advisor by now. I think we've called all the students except maybe one or two. So if you have not gotten any correspondence from an advisor after already getting on the list, check your voicemail, check your email. Like I said before, sometimes voicemails are full or for some reason we can't leave one. So we might follow up with an email. But you can always give us a call at the 675-8860 number. I feel like I've given that out a lot, but that's our hub. That phone is being checked and answered, and we're returning calls. So if you're just really not sure where you are in the process, what you need to do, if you think you should have heard something and you haven't, definitely reach out, because who knows what happened. But so just give us a call if you're not sure where you should be.
All right, thank you so much. Now a quick question about the actual application and acceptance process. Let's say you've been logging in to make sure your transcripts came in, and it says on your application online that your app is complete. Dr. Ritter, can you speak to maybe someone sees online that their application is complete, but they don't have an acceptance letter yet, and they want to log into Flashline? How long should they wait for that acceptance packet?
I would give it no more than a week, and that's only because of the mail. You know, we are in the office 2 days a week to pick up the mail and send out the mail. So I think if you check, let's say on Monday, and you see that you've been accepted, but your acceptance letter hasn't come in, give it till the following Monday. If at that point you don't get it, then give us a call. Maybe something happened with it getting lost in the mail. But we are in the office 2 days a week to pick up mail and send out mail. So it should be within a week.
Thank you. Yep, and if you ever wonder, just go ahead and reach out to us. Even if you're wondering if your transcripts came in or you're not sure how to log in and check, feel free to email me. I'll put my email in the comments. You can reach out anytime about application status. That's a big part of what I'm here for. Kelsey, we have another question about placement assessment. Is it possible to schedule classes before I take that Alex math assessment?
No, that is a great question. We require an Alex math placement score before you can register for classes. So we always recommend that you do that as soon as possible. You can take that Alex math placement test as soon as you've been admitted and received your acceptance packet. The sooner you take it, the better. That way, it's just one thing that you've checked off your to-do list. You don't have to worry about it, but we cannot register you for classes for summer or for fall until we have those Alex math placement scores.
All right. And if they have questions about Alex, who should they contact, Kelsey?
If you have questions about Alex, you can call the 675-8860 number, leave a message, and they'll forward you to one of the academic advisors and we can help you from there.
All right, thank you so much. We have another question, and maybe we covered this a little bit, but Chris, can you kind of explain what the virtual advising appointment is again? What happens during that appointment?
Yes, of course. So we will be meeting via Microsoft Teams. You'll be emailed the link to that. And I might as well just say it would be great if you would do this on your computer, not your phone or your tablet. It's best to do it on the computer because we're actually going to walk you through registering for your classes. You're scheduling your own classes with our help, basically. So if you have access to, if you can enable a microphone and the camera on your computer, that's great because then we can see each other, we can hear each other, and we can converse that way. What will happen is at the appointment, we'll first go through, make sure we've chosen the right major. We'll cover that when we call you, but we'll cover that again during the appointment. We'll go through your placement assessment scores and let you know whether or not you need any, if you've tested into any foundation courses that will help you build your skills. We'll let you know if you need any of those. We'll review the roadmap, which is a listing of all the classes you need for your major semester by semester. Make sure you know how that works. We'll go through the suggested courses for your major. We'll actually have beforehand, we're going to send you a sample schedule too that you can review before our meeting. And if you don't happen to like that schedule, we'll make a new schedule for you. And then we'll walk you through the process of scheduling your own classes for your first semester. If you are a summer start, we're going to schedule summer and fall on that same appointment. If you're a fall start, then of course we'll just do fall. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Chris. Allison, I have a question for you now. I had scheduled my placement assessment before COVID, and then it was canceled. What do I do now? Do I still have that schedule? What's up?
Yes, we originally thought we were going to be doing placement just like normal and having the in-placement process, but a lot of things have changed since then. So if you were scheduled for one of the canceled placement assessments, you should have heard back from us. We kept those lists and contacted all the students on those lists. If something happened and we missed you, please call us. We'll get that process rolling. So you don't need to do those placements that you were originally going to take. Like Kelsey's mentioned, we're using your ACT scores and GPA for the reading and writing, and then the ALEX math can be done online from home, and we're using that for the math. So you should have been contacted if you were originally on a DKSTAR or a placement assessment date when we were going to gather in person, but if not, definitely give us a call.
Thank you so much, Allison. So if you're watching this, please go ahead and post any questions or comments you have, anything related at all to Kent State Trumbull, admissions, advising, tuition, student life, any questions you have, we are here today to answer those for you. And if you just want to check in and say, hey, this is who I am, I'm interested, or I'm accepted, or I'm a transfer student, or I'm a high school senior, we would love to get to know who's watching. Kelsey, I have a question for you about the placement assessment and the scheduling. Is it possible to start that placement assessment process and the DKSTAR virtual advising if I haven't actually gotten my acceptance letter yet, but I know that I'm admitted?
That is a great question. You need to wait until you receive your acceptance letter. And the reason for that is because in your acceptance packet, it's going to give you information about how to log into Flashline. Flashline is your student portal. It's access to everything that you need to know as a Kent State student. We cannot register you for classes if you do not have access to your Flashline account. And within your acceptance letter, they give you information about how to log in, your username, your ID number, everything that you need to know to get into your Flashline account. So we can't register you for classes. We can't start the placement assessment process until you can get into your Flashline. So just be patient, wait for your acceptance letter, and then give us a call once you receive that, and we'll get you on our list and get the process started for you.
Thank you so much, Kelsey. And we are so excited about each of you and the fact that you're watching this today. And if you've decided to make Kent Trumbull your school, we are just super excited, and welcome to the Flash family. We look forward to having you as a student. And if there's any questions you have, again, please post those in the comments. If you have not yet made a decision or you're just interested, I'm just going to walk you through the application process while we let some questions come in. But our application is very, very simple. One thing that is nice to know is we have open enrollment. So everybody who completes the application process is accepted. So you'll go to www.kent.edu/Trumbull/apply, and you will click on the appropriate application for your situation. So if you have no education past high school, you'll click apply as a new freshman. If you have done any other, tech school, community college, other institutions, you'll apply as a transfer student. There's also the guest application and some other ones. So feel free to reach out if you have questions about that. You'll complete the online application, and there's a $40 application fee. And if you want to talk about a waiver, feel free to email me. My email is in the comments. It's mcannelly@kent.edu. And then after the application and the application fee, we need your transcripts. That is the final step for your application. We need your high school transcript and any other educational transcripts that you have. You'll send those to our office in Warren, and once your application is complete, you will be accepted. Dr. Ritter, did you have anything you want to add to that process?
No, other than most of our students get some type of financial aid, excuse me. So you may want to, after you fill out the application, go to FAFSA.gov, FAFSA.gov. Do not go to FAFSA.com. That's a proprietary website. They try to charge you $75 to basically do what the government's going to do for free. The first word in FAFSA is free. It's a free application for federal student aid. So fill that out, fill out as much as you can, submit it. And then if you have questions, give us a call about that as well.
All right, and once that application is complete, give us about a week to process that and send you your acceptance packet, if I could speak. Kristen, I see you're on. It's great to see you, and we are so excited for you to receive your packet too. It's going to be great, and once you get that packet, it has some very, very important information in it. So save those papers and follow the instructions on them, and call us if you have any questions at all. All right, I'm going to touch on one other thing. Again, if you have questions, put those in, but we're starting to wrap up a little bit here. If you're a high schooler and you sent us your in-process transcript to be admitted, once you graduate high school, your high school needs to send us your final transcript. And if you're wondering how you can send that to us, there are 3 different ways that we'll accept that high school transcript. Your guidance counselor can email it to us. And if it's easier for them, you can just give them my email address and I'll forward it to the appropriate person. They can also send it electronically through, there's a parchment send service. They can just select Kent State University. If Trumbull is not an option that's given, just have them select Kent State University and it will get to us. And the third option would be to mail a paper copy of your final official high school transcript. And I will put our address in the comments so that you can have that for them. But any questions with that, feel free to send me an email. I know everybody has a unique situation or questions, but we do need that final official high school transcript to complete that process. All right, any other questions? I'm not seeing any. Do any of you panelists have anything that you would like to add to any of this?
I would just like to say something we tell all our new students: if you ever have a question, please ask your question. You can't possibly get an answer unless you ask your question. So please ask your question. From now until the day that you graduate, we're here for you. Even if at some point you think this is a question, it's not for an academic advisor, but I don't know who to ask, you can always ask us. If we do not know the answer, we will get you to the right person. So don't ever hesitate to ask a question.
Yes, and we're happy to share information with you. We just need to know what you need to know. So let us know what you need and we will do our best to help you. Also, if you're interested in signing up for a virtual tour, we have gone live with those. So that is a one-on-one Zoom appointment with a current student on our campus. And you set up this Zoom appointment together and they walk you through a series of 360-degree photos from around campus. They'll walk you through the student experience and explain the classrooms, the library, some of the cool labs. So if you'd like to see that, please check the comments and you'll be able to sign up for a virtual tour through there. And thank you so much to each of our panelists. We are so thankful. Allison, Dr. Ritter, Chris, Kelsey, thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. I'm going to do one last check for questions. And I think we're good. If there's anything we didn't answer, you know the phone number to call. Call us at 330-675-8860. And thank you so much for joining us today. Go Flashes.